I need to tell this story while it's still fresh, before the bruises fade and the bank statements stop making me sick. 6 months ago, I was Amelia Lancaster, a luxury travel consultant, owner of a townhouse in Arlington, and wife to a successful attorney. Now, I'm Amelia Noble, writing this while sitting in my childhood bedroom, trying to understand how someone can destroy you without ever raising their voice. But let me start where all great disasters begin, with complete confidence that you're doing the right thing. We met at a wine tasting in DuPont Circle. I was 25, just starting my career creating tailor-made experiences for people who had more money than imagination. He was 27, a junior attorney at Brennan and Associates, the kind of firm that makes other lawyers nervous. Drake pursued me with the same precision he brought to court. He booked impossible-to-get tables, planned weekend trips down to minute, remembered everything. My coffee order, my mom's birthday, even the exact shade of Hermes orange I loved. I mistook obsession for passion. We married 3 years later. The wedding cost $75,000, paid by his family. The prenup I signed was standard protection. I barely skimmed it, because who reads 47 pages of legal jargon when you're in love? By the 3rd year of marriage, our 7th year together, I felt like I was suffocating inside one of his Excel spreadsheets. Drake had planned our lives. Kids at 35, private schools researched, retirement goals updated quarterly. He even scheduled intimacy. I'm not joking. Tuesday and Saturday nights were blocked out on his calendar for personal time. Then Damon messaged me on Instagram. We dated in college, the kind of relationship that burned everything around it. He was a filmmaker now, just back from Morocco, and his message was simple. Saw a sunset in Marrakesh. Reminded me of that time we got lost in Shenandoah. One message became 50. 50 became video calls. He was everything Drake wasn't. Spontaneous, passionate, reckless. He'd drop everything to fly to Peru for a story. He lived in a bare loft, just a mattress, brick walls, and editing equipment. He made me remember who I was before I became Mrs. Lancaster. The affair started with emotion. I'm not proud, but I won't lie. 3 months of messages before our first coffee. Another month before I went to his place. By the 5th month, I was planning to leave. I thought Drake had no idea. He still kissed me goodbye every morning. Still sent me money for shopping days. Still talked through his depositions over dinner. His routine never changed, not once. That should have been my first warning. On the day I left, I waited until he was in court, packed my jewelry, bags, everything that mattered, and left a note on the kitchen island. I need to understand who I really am. You deserve someone who wants the life you've planned. I'm sorry. That same day, I moved into Damon's loft, posted a photo of a sunset with a butterfly emoji. New chapter. Subtle enough. For 2 weeks. It was everything I dreamed of. We stayed in bed till noon, edited his street art documentary, drank wine on the fire escape. I helped him prepare pitches for producers using my luxury industry contacts. It felt real, creative, alive. And then the first domino fell. 2 weeks later, my biggest client, a pharmaceutical company with over $200,000 in yearly commissions, suddenly ended our contract. No explanation. My boss questioned my stability. By the end of the week, 3 more clients dropped me. Then Damon's luck changed too. A production company that had agreed to fund 90% of his next project suddenly went in a different direction. His freelance gigs began to vanish. My credit card froze, not maxed out, just frozen. The bank mentioned unresolved legal issues. A divorce lawyer I contacted emailed me saying he couldn't represent me. Conflict of interest. Every reputable divorce attorney in the D.C. area suddenly had conflicts. Drake never called, never texted. The silence was louder than any scream. Then came the divorce papers, delivered not with drama, but by a board court officer at Damon's building at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. I opened them expecting the usual demands, but found surgical precision. Filed in Virginia, not D.C. The laws were better for him there. A petition to waive marital property, alleging extreme misconduct and financial irresponsibility. There were screenshots. Every purchase I'd made in the last 6 months presented as evidence of a manic episode. Our townhouse, it turned out, was held in a trust I'd never known existed. Our joint accounts were frozen pending an equitable distribution. And then the real shock, an emergency hearing scheduled 48 hours later. My presence was strongly recommended. Update 2, a month later. I'm writing this from a Starbucks because there's no Wi-Fi in Damon's loft anymore. Let me explain how you can destroy someone without throwing a single punch. The hearing was a slaughter. Drake's attorney, a senior partner at his firm who'd taken the case pro bono out of professional courtesy, presented my life like a PowerPoint of bad choices. Every message to Damon became an exhibit. The note I left on the kitchen island, not a goodbye, they said, was framed as an abandonment of marital duties. My Instagram posts weren't self-expression. They were public displays of mania. The judge froze everything. Assets, accounts, credit. Everything on hold until the divorce was resolved. But the legal hit was only the start. My professional collapse accelerated. My boss received a package. Not lies, but the truth, strategically curated. Screenshots of my texts with Damon during client meetings. The time I charged what I said were property viewings to the corporate card, reframed as personal weekend spending. The emails I'd sent while mapping out my escape, presented as dereliction. Not quite criminal, but more than enough to fire me for cause. No severance. No references. My professional network evaporated. LinkedIn recommendations disappeared overnight. The luxury travel community is small. Gossip travels fast when someone looks unmoored. The nonprofit board I sat on got the file too. They wished me well and asked for my immediate resignation. Damon's world imploded in parallel. Someone sent his former production company 3 years' worth of expense irregularities, things that might have been forgiven if not shown with intent. His ex, who's now an attorney at Drake's firm, suddenly remembered a $15,000 debt and sued. His reputation in the documentary world went from rising talent to financially unreliable. His freelance gigs dried up. My family got their own envelopes. A complete chronology, months of my planning spelled out receipts for the anniversary trip Drake paid for, the resort weekend, the gifts I'd accepted. My sister, a therapist who had advised me on how to cope with a controlling partner, received documents alleging I'd misused her professional guidance to manipulate Drake, twisting her words into evidence of a calculated campaign. Everything I had built, every private moment, had been rearranged into proof that I was unstable, reckless, deliberate. Update 3. My mom stopped answering my calls. My dad sent one text. We're disappointed in who you become. 3 months later, Damon left for Thailand to clear his head and explore new opportunities. He didn't give me a return date, just disappeared, leaving behind unpaid rent and a loft I couldn't afford. I moved into a small studio in Anacostia, $900 a month, bars on the windows, neighbors who minded their own business because everyone was running from something. My last remaining divorce lawyer, who agreed to a payment plan, summed it up simply. You have no grounds, no assets, and no sympathy from the court. The townhouse renovations? Paid by Drake's family trust. Our joint accounts? I was an authorized user, not an owner. The prenup I hadn't read? Legally airtight. Even my jewelry, the pieces I thought were gifts, had receipts proving they were marital assets to be returned. I tried finding work. Luxury travel had been my niche, but every potential employer Googled me and found a scandal. I applied for assistant jobs, event planning, anything where my skills might still matter. But Drake's influence ran wider than I imagined, not through threats, just quiet truths. A word here, a forwarded link there. Now I work remotely for a plumbing company, earning $18 an hour. My name is Carol in the email signature because my real name is Toxic, but I wasn't broken, not yet. I was still angry, still hopeful that this was temporary, still believed I could rebuild. And then Monique knocked on my door. Update 4. 6 months after I left. She stood there in a vintage Chanel dress, holding a manila folder, and wearing a wedding ring I didn't recognize. Amelia, she said. Monique, I answered automatically. Drake's wife. I laughed, genuinely laughed. I'm Drake's wife. Her smile was patient, not cruel, like she was explaining something to a child. No, you're not, she said softly, handing me the folder. Inside, a marriage certificate dated 5 years earlier. Photos from their quiet, elegant wedding. Legal documents showing they had never divorced. Only separated on paper for strategic reasons tied to a massive lawsuit Drake had been shielding assets from. But we got married, I whispered. There was a ceremony, a license. The ceremony was real, she said. The license was never filed. Drake's uncle, the executor of his family trust, knew. The witnesses knew. Officially, I'd always been listed as a domestic partner, not a spouse. Check your tax filings, she said. You filed separately every year. Remember? He said it was for financial reasons. I remembered. I'd sign whatever he gave me, because I trusted him. The prenup you signed, she continued, wasn't a marriage contract. It was a cohabitation agreement. Legally binding, yes, but not as a spouse. You weren't a wife leaving her husband. You were a girlfriend ending a relationship. No alimony, no claim, no standing. Why did he give me everything then? I asked. Monique tilted her head. Because Drake plays the long game. She told me the lawsuit had been settled last month. They'd reconciled. She'd redesigned the townhouse I once called home. He was about to be made partner. At the doorway, she paused. He wanted you to know. It was never personal. You were just practice. Final update. I'm writing this from my old bedroom. Yes, I crawled back home. My parents let me in, but we don't talk about why I'm here. I'm 32, sleeping in a twin bed under my childhood participation trophies. Still working as a virtual assistant under a fake name. Through mutual friends, I heard that Drake never once lost his temper, never spoke ill of me. When someone asked about the divorce, he simply said, Amelia needed to find herself. Perfect victim. Gracious ex-husband. His Instagram is public. I saw our townhouse, marble countertops now. They're vacation photos from the same places we once dreamed of going. The announcement of his partnership at the firm. Charity galas. Her at his side, standing where I used to. Damon never came back from Thailand. He's teaching English now, pretending the film world didn't blacklist him. We don't talk. Our mutual friends quietly chose sides and disappeared. I can't blame them. Who wants to stay close to someone who burned her own life to the ground? But here's what keeps me awake at 3 a.m. Drake knew. He knew about Damon from the very first message. He let me plan. He let me act. He let me hang myself with my own rope. He anticipated every move. Every decision I thought was mine was just another piece in his design. Drake didn't destroy me because I betrayed him. He destroyed me because he could, because I was a problem to be solved, a case to be won, a lesson to be taught. I thought I was a heroine of a story about self-discovery and passion. I thought I was brave, choosing love over comfort. I thought Drake's silence meant weakness. I was wrong. His silence was strategy. His calm was calculation. He didn't break me in anger. He dismantled me carefully, using my own choices as weapons, my own words as evidence, my own desires as a rope around my neck. The worst part? Everything he did was legal, ethical, even from a certain point of view. He never lied, never forged, never technically broke a single law. He simply presented the truth in a way that revealed who I truly was. And who was I, really? Someone who never deserved the life she thought she had. I wanted passion. I got it, just not the kind I expected. Because the opposite of love isn't hate. It's precision. It's patience. It's the kind of cold that burns hotter than any fire. Drake once told me he never walked into a courtroom without knowing exactly how it would end. I should have listened. I wasn't his wife. I wasn't even his opponent. I was just discovery. Edit, since some of you keep asking. Yes, this is real. No, I can't prove the marriage was fake. Not without money for lawyers who won't take my case. And yes, I've thought about revenge. But what's left to destroy? He won everything, without breaking a law, without raising his voice. You can't fight someone who's 5 moves ahead and has nothing to lose. One last thing, for those who say I deserved it, maybe I did. But remember this. When you think your secrets are safe, your choice is private, your consequences contained. Sometimes, the person sleeping next to you isn't trying to catch you. They're just documenting, waiting for you to catch yourself. Monique was right about one thing. I was practice, just not for him. And for anyone reading this, thinking they can betray someone who plays the long game, the sunsets weren't worth it.